It's time for the Douglas Coleman Show. Mr. Smooth and Savvy is joined by guests from all walks of life, from the entertainment industry to authors to political and social commentators, the famous and not so famous, the controversial and the light and fluffy. We have it all. Now, here's Douglas Coleman.
Okay, please welcome back to the Douglas Coleman Show, Tyler Ornstein. Hey, Tyler, how are you?
Douglas, how are you? Thank you so much again for having me on your show. It's a pleasure to be back, and I really do appreciate the time that you have given me. How's everything with you?
Oh, doing very well, thank you. I looked it up, and you were last on the show October of 2020, so it's been longer than I thought. I thought it was just a few months ago, but that's like 8 months ago. So it's been a while.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
Yeah. I think your interview made a lasting impression because I just remembered it. From, as if...
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I try to at least make a good lasting impression. As you know, the first impression is the lasting impression.
Well, that's very true. And, I do 10 interviews a week. So if one stands out, it must have been all right because a lot of them I don't remember from the next day. So anyways, nice to have you back. You had mentioned that you were featured in Forbes. Congratulations on that. And
thank you so much.
You said it was something with Elon Musk. Did you meet Elon Musk?
I have not met Elon Musk yet, although if anyone's listening that knows Elon Musk, please let him know that Tyler Ornstein, the founder of the world's first organic acid-free coffee, is very interested in meeting him. I think he's a pioneer and an industry mogul. But the interesting thing about Elon Musk is I do know his story a little bit. He started PayPal with a couple buddies, and he started on the floor of an apartment with a sleeping bag. PayPal is now the biggest transaction for e-commerce in the whole entire world, does over $1 billion in transactional dollars a month. And that really does show, to me, an amazing man. He came from nothing. He was an immigrant.
Right.
And he was able to come to America and not only create the American dream, but be a outlier in disruptive technology with trillion-dollar industries at his heels. And that's kind of what I see Tyler's Coffees as. Tyler's Coffees is really an industry leader in disruptive technology and the second largest commodity item in the world in coffee. I mean, we're the world's first and only acid-free coffee.
Well, think of it this way. If you get to be chummy with Elon Musk, you could be the first coffee on Mars.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Yeah.
That would be fantastic.
Now, that is something.
Smart man. The other thing I like about Elon Musk is he said in an interview, probably 2004 or 2005, he goes, I thought about it, and I realized that the majority of the cost it takes for a rocket to go into outer space is when they have to discard the stages of the rocket on, essentially re-entry. It just falls to Earth, and they pick it up somewhere in the ocean. He goes, well, what if we could put technology in the rocket booster so that it actually would just come back to Earth and land on a pad? And people laughed at him. And he's like, I think I can do it. First try, completely failed, didn't land right, exploded, $20 million up in smoke. Next time, failed. And I think the third time is when they finally got it. And when they got it good. And wow, it was mind-boggling to see that.
Oh, yeah. And, it's funny how much you mentioned that about all the various stages of rockets. When I was a little kid, I remember watching with my father the Saturn V Apollo 11. That was like the biggest thing going on in the world at that time. I was 9 years old. And it fascinated me that the thing started out on the launch pad at Cape Kennedy as something as big as a 6-story building. And when it came back with the 3 astronauts in it, it was the size of a golf cart. And it was amazing. I said, well, where'd all the rest of it go? And my father said, well, they left some of it on the moon, some of it's still in space, and some of it fell back to Earth. And, a lot of junk, a lot of wasted stuff. That's true.
Yeah, and I think America is waking up to a revolution in, space travel, and hopefully we can see private industry take over and actually create, space travel the way that Elon wants to see it. 20 minutes to Europe. It's insane.
Yeah, I agree.
Mind-boggling.
I agree because, again, I'm going to show my age, but from the time I was born until now, with the exception of the Concorde, we are still flying at the same speed that we were flying in 1960. And in 1960, you could go from Los Angeles to Tokyo in about 9.5 to 10 hours. It's still that long. And I think we need to make that jump to where you can go from New York to Tokyo in 2 hours, or New York to LA in, 45 minutes, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's just dreadfully slow. And it's inefficient, and we're burning fossil fuel, which isn't ideal under any circumstance. It's what we're kind of stuck with at the moment. But yeah, I think we could get beyond that at some point. Some kind of energy source that isn't polluting the environment, that's cheaper, more efficient, anything. But the basic technology of jet travel has not changed in 60 years.
Right.
And I think it's time to... The Concorde was a nice idea, but it was just way inefficient. I mean, as far as fuel burn, as far as it was cost inefficient. They couldn't make any money on the thing. And it was more of just a showpiece for British Airways and for Air France. And plus the environmental impact was pretty brutal with the thing as well. So they could never fly it across the country without breaking everyone's windows in Iowa. And, it just didn't work out. But I think so. Let me segue this a little bit into entrepreneurship, because that's something that you are quite noted for. You started your company, Tyler's Coffee, from what I remember, as a kid riding your bicycle around the neighborhood, giving out samples of your coffee to your neighbors. Was that right?
I did. Yes, sir.
And now you are a corporation. How many employees do you have?
Well, I mean, I actually technically don't have employees. I'm actually kind of against W-9.
Oh, okay.
Or, sorry, W-2 as it stands. But contractors were probably nearing 20 contractors across, the fulfillment center and the office. I like to hire people that have a drive, initiative, a desire, and a want. I don't like to hire clock punchers. I don't like to hire people that are going to just milk the system.
I hear you.
Best way I can say it.
Yeah, I hear you. I think that's a good way to do it. I mean, I'm actually looking to... We were starting to look to greatly expand this show and get a new studio set up in Vegas where we could have in-studio guests and remote and live performances with bands and a studio audience. And
wow, that's pretty big.
Basically like Ellen, only maybe a little smaller.
Yeah.
Not as but the same kind of stage setup where you got a sitting area and then you got a performance area, and do something like that. And we were looking around at various commercial sites, and then COVID came along and just shut everything down. So we're trying to get back to that now. But the point being is that as an entrepreneur, I want to set this up where the people that come in and work are going to be contract employees. I do not want clock punchers, like you said.
Right.
Because for a show like ours, we're going to have tech guy or guys or people, could be female. I'm not being sexist. But we're also going to need a PR, reception, office manager kind of person. And I haven't just figured out, I think like 3 people is probably going to do it, at least for the time being. Once we get live audience, we're going to need security. Unfortunately, in this country, that's going to be a reality. But I agree with you. I don't want clock punchers. I want people who come in, who are dedicated to the team. They will be well paid. But I think that they need to handle their own affairs too. When you hire contract employees, you don't have to worry about payroll and insurance and taxes and all that, right?
Correct. Yep, that's exactly right. And what I also like is I like to, tell all my contractors, there's a contract that we build legally, and that also is the rubric to when you need to work and how you need to work. B, write everything off. Just be your own entity. I think what America has kind of fallen into is a passive society. Like, for example, after the World War II, America was so geared towards manufacturing and ingenuity and technology and schooling and to be the best in the world. And oh my God, America, the golden child, and the light on the top of the hill. And now America is, what's in it for me? When can I get my hand out? How less can I work to get the highest return on my money? And it's like, it never ever will succeed. And that's a very sad statement, but unfortunately that's kind of what I see.
So what happened to the initiative? What happened to the drive? Why has it been zapped out of American society?
In my opinion, it has a lot to do with the saying goes is idle hands is the devil's work. So if you can tell someone, hey, you sit here, you play your video games, you get food stamps, and you'll get a per diem of your Social Security, and you'll get unemployment, it doesn't incentivize anyone to do anything. I mean, there's complacency, right? Mm-hmm. And so complacency fields laziness. And entrepreneurs, in a gross sense, are people that do not want to have complacency or laziness. They're the go-getters. They're the wake up at 6 a.m. They're the guys that are exercising before people are even waking up. They're driving fast cars because that's their lifestyle. They want to be the best in anything and everything that they touch. And I think, to be honest, society's kind of created a stigma that's frowned upon. And I don't really know how to better explain it, and I don't really know how I can prove it. But what I can tell you is that the more I see my peers not interested in a career and just sitting literally at home playing video games and smoking weed, it's an interesting dynamic, what I'm seeing.
Well, it's kind of sad in a way, but
no, it's extremely sad.
On the other side of the coin to this, not everyone is cut out to be an entrepreneur. There are a lot of risks involved. There is a lot of hard work. There's a lot of focus and attention and demand attention to detail that an entrepreneur has to have.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not talking about entrepreneur per se. I'm talking about work ethic.
Work ethic. Okay.
There's people that just don't want to work.
That's true.
That's what I'm saying is it's like, if you go to a job and the job says you need to do these tasks, they're going to do everything minimal to that task. They'll just get by on what they can do to not get fired. And then, again, why work? There's no incentive. So right now there's a huge interesting aspect. People are trying to, help wanted, but no one's working. And you go, okay, so maybe the economy's falling. Well, okay, the market's not doing great. Bitcoin kind of went in the tank after China. But for the most part, big corporations are paying more money to have people come in for less hours, or people are saying, wait, I can work my butt off and make $400, or I can sit at home and collect a $600 check.
Yeah, well, that's a problem.
I mean,
yeah,
that
that
would
is a
take
problem.
rocket science to figure that out.
When the government pays more people more to stay home than to go out and work, then that's a problem. That's
a huge problem.
Yeah, which I know is going on right at the moment because of the COVID stimulus money and everything that came out for people. But I have a feeling that's going to be temporary. I don't think we're going to see that for the rest of our life. I think once this thing...
No, I don't think we're going to see it for the rest of our lives. But if we don't take care of it in a, Einstein
timely manner,
reaction. Yeah. I mean, you can't build complacency over too much of a time, because then when you tear it away from someone, then people revolt, and it's, I don't know. We're kind of getting into some geopolitical aspects, but it's a good conversation. I really do enjoy it. But I would say, for the most part, I'm kind of turning a blind eye. I mean, as much as I want to help and support every cause in the world, you got to choose your battles, right? So my biggest battle right now is, how can I make my team more successful than they are? How can we make more money this month than we did last month? How can I put more money in their pockets than my pocket? I mean, my pockets are lined, but how can I put how can I put more money? And how can I incentivize? How can I give them better work experience? How can I give them more things to do? That's my goal. That's my charity. That's what I want to do. I want to support these people, and everyone I have is younger than me for a reason, because I love molding young people into the best they can be.
Well, you're not that old yourself. I mean, looking at your picture,
I feel old.
I would guess you're
I'm 31.
Considerably younger than me. Yeah, you see, you could be my son. Absolutely.
Right.
But 31 is not old. Let me tell you, if I can give you any piece of advice in this conversation we're having, 31 is not old, particularly because people are living longer now. I would have argued 31 was a lot older 60 years ago, because the average life expectancy was about 65. But now that the average life expectancy is 83, 84, consider yourself like a teenager at this point.
I do, and I take care of myself. I do yoga, and that kind of is another segue of Tyler's Coffees. So the reason why Tyler's Coffees was invented is because the people suffer from stomach-related modalities because of our diet. And 50 million Americans in 2016, according to the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation in North America, found that there's 50 million Americans that suffer from stomach-related modalities, right? So when people kind of put that together, the first thing they say is, oh, you got to change your diet and you can't drink coffee. And I'll tell you, you can give up alcohol, you can give up drugs, you can give up meat, you can give up sugar, you can give up, God, everything under the sun, pretty much. People can't give up their coffee. I'll just tell you right now, it's just too much of a I don't know. It's an addiction. I'll agree with that, but it's more of a factor of waking up in the morning and having your coffee. It's just what it is. For coffee drinkers, that's what it is, and they don't have an option. They either quit cold turkey or they increase their stomach-related modality. Well, Tyler's Coffees has the option to kind of have your cake and eat it too.
Right. Well, I think that people need an alternative to that, because I think we had this conversation when you were on last time. I can't drink coffee. I drink tea, specifically because coffee upsets my stomach. I'm ashamed to admit I have not had the opportunity to try your coffee yet. And it is
on Amazon.
Yeah, all right.
On Walmart.com.
I will get. Yeah, I'll get there. But that's really why I drink tea. Plus, I don't know. There's just something about tea that I like better than the taste of coffee, but I've never tried your coffee, so I'm not going to make any kind of a judgment on your coffee specifically until I've had the opportunity to try it. In terms of what you were saying about it's habitual, okay? At this point, when I wake up, as soon as I get from the bed to the bathroom, out of the bathroom, I am right at the kettle, okay? It's just my body is on autopilot, and I go right to the kettle to turn the water on to boil it for the tea. So people are the same way with their coffee. A lot of people have coffee makers that have timers on them so that when they wake up, the coffee's all ready to go. They set it up the night before. Yeah, it's a routine. It's a habit as much as an addiction.
Yeah.
And I think what you're doing is great to offer an alternative to people who have sensitive stomachs, because there are a lot of us out there. Coffee has a tremendous amount of acid. Unbelievable amount.
Tremendous.
Yeah.
Tremendous. Actually, so much so that, again, your listeners need to do their own research, and you'll find it's kind of an old story, but they were actually finding out that on commercial aircraft that they had to reinforce the galley because the coffee would spill on the aluminum and start etching away at it.
Oh, God.
Over years. Not like immediately, but over years.
Yeah.
All the coffee pots that were made.
Oh, I believe it. So let's talk a little bit more. Let's circle back to entrepreneurial people. Let's see. Bottom line, where does one go to get the money to start their company? Because typically, your banks don't want to talk to you if you've got something that is unconventional. You know, I think starting a coffee company is probably more conventional than a lot of entrepreneurs who, particularly like high-tech ones, who have an idea for an app or something that isn't quite as tangible. Coffee's a pretty tangible product, right?
Well, yeah, it's the second largest commodity in the world, but that doesn't mean that the bank's going to shell out their money to you. The banks, I mean, truly, I mean, this is really like honest to God. Unless you're finding an outlier bank that's not a corporate bank and it's what did they call them? Credit unions or, private banking or whatever. Mainly 99% of the portfolio of a bank is asset driven. So if you have a car, we'll loan against it. If you have a house, we'll loan against it. Why? Because we can turn it around and sell it for a profit and make a return back.
Right.
For business, they go, okay, well, you want, for example, $500,000, let's just say. And you're going to take that $500,000, you're going to buy inventory. Okay, what else are you going to buy? Oh, you're going to buy equipment. Okay, what else are you going to buy? You're going to buy, so you're not going to own the land. You're not going to own the building. Okay, so what happens if you go bust? Oh, well, we get the inventory. Okay, well, what are we going to do with that inventory? Oh, we're going to sell it. And we're going to sell it because we know how to sell it, of course. They don't. So what you're doing is you're kind of walking into a failure point. And I would never give advice to a startup entrepreneur to go to a bank and get a loan, because they're not going to, unless you're going to collateralize it with your house, or you're going to collateralize it with cars, or you're going to collateralize it with land.
Right. It's got to be a guaranteed
stock
loan. Yeah,
exactly. So I would say this. I would say the most important thing in an entrepreneurial's life is not about the money. As much as that flies in the face of logic, I never really thought about money for a while. I mean, technically, I haven't even taken money out of my company. We're solvent. We're free and clear. But it was more of the word that I like to use and kind of tell people is, if your product doesn't help, then it's very highly that you will fail. So before COVID, I would go and talk on stages, and then they would interview me, and so on and so forth would interview me, and wow, Tyler, what a story. Wow, you did this. Wow, it's amazing. Wow, holy cow, you're now here and you did this. And wow. Okay, great. Got it. Hype. Come off stage, line forms, people want to talk to me. And I'm a very, very approachable person, trust me. And sometimes my girlfriend thinks I'm too approachable. People want to talk to me, and they say, how do you do this? So my first thing whenever I talk to someone is, how can you help? And they always get taken back from that. And they're like, no, you're supposed to help me. I'm like, no, I am helping you. How can you help? Well, what do you mean? Well, does your product help? Well, yeah, it has these benefits. No. Okay. That's what you need to sell. That's what you need to do to get investment. And another thing is, you can't really get investment without putting your own blood, sweat, and tears behind something. An investor, and I've been pitched so many times, it's hilarious. Oh, Tyler, I need $5,000. Oh, Tyler, I need $10,000. Oh, Tyler, I need, small micro investments. And, then obviously we have investments as, oh, Tyler, we need $20 million. And I'm like, hey, I do too. You let me know if you find it. I'll be right there with you, bud.
You're listening to Mr. Smooth and Savvy right here on the Douglas Coleman Show. We'll be right back after these commercial messages.
Douglas Coleman's Don't Do a Podcast is a dryly humorous rant about Douglas's pet peeve, the unrelenting torrent of podcasts hitting the web on a constant basis. As technology has put podcasting within the reach of anyone, many wholly unqualified people have taken the plunge. This witty polemic tries to persuade them from broadcasting their drivel using Douglas's brand of sarcastic humor. Now on Amazon, only 99 cents.
DJC Music and DJC Productions are pleased to announce a brand new website. We have started a listing website for radio show hosts as well as potential show guests. This is a meeting site where hosts and guests can come together. Show hosts can list their show and types of guests they're interested in booking. Potential guests can list their talents, bio, accomplishments, or anything they feel makes them an interesting radio show guest. There are no recurrent payments, only a one-time $5 listing fee. Your listing will stay up until you decide to cancel. Previous guests of The Douglas Coleman Show are welcome to submit their guest listing free of charge. Go to radiohostsandguests.com. That's radiohostsandguests.com.
Love coffee, huh? But wait a minute. It seems like every time you finish a cup of coffee, you get all of these side effects along with it. Heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, acid reflux. As the world's first and only organic acid-free coffee, Tyler's Coffee is able to provide a healthier option in the solution for more than 100 million individuals who have sensitive stomachs or suffer from acid-related modalities. This is Tyler's acid-free coffee. Coffee without the consequences.
Hi, this is John Morgan, Production Supervisor for DJC Productions. And you're listening to The Douglas Coleman Show.
When you find those kinds of investors, obviously they're taking majority equity, obviously they've already seen the value, and you're on quote-unquote easy street. But that's finding a unicorn. Unless you said, hey, we've done $6 million and we need to slingshot the business to another, $20 million will take us to $500 million, and then we can go on the stock exchange, we can do stock, IPO and
Right.
blah, 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 right? But the majority of the people that you're going to be talking about and listening are in the micro investment range where they need $10,000, $20,000 for startup capital. And my statement to that is, you don't need money. You need sales. You need POs. You need AR. I mean, you need people to invest already into you. I mean, unless you created like a teleportation machine and you can go and raise a couple $1 billion from a multi-conglomerate hedge fund, you're not gonna find the money. I really, really tell entrepreneurs, don't go ever looking for the money. Look for the sales.
Well, that's good advice. That's certainly good advice. And for somebody like me whose product is intellectual, looking for sales is a rather daunting, nebulous task, because what is that? What is it exactly? For me, it's like views, listens, downloads, which equates to no money, zero.
I feel for the people that don't sell a hard product sometimes. Services, and there's so many plus and minuses. It's like, okay, well, if you're a service, then obviously you don't have a hard product sold, goods, COGS, cost of goods sold. You don't have shipping. You don't have inventory. You don't have manufacturing costs. On the other hand, how do you put a value to your service? Now, if you're a plumber, sure, you can put a value to that by the hour. If you're a mechanic, you can put a value to that by the hour.
Right.
Life coaching, self-help, it's a tough one.
Funny you bring that up, because there's a billion of those people out there, and they all seem to be doing really well. Well, seem is the operative word there.
Okay.
They've got a very slick website, if nothing else.
We have a really, really good Wix website.
Yeah.
That's free.
Yeah. But it looks, a picture's worth $1 million. You know how that is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've talked to life coaches. I never will tell someone that their idea or concept is frivolous. I can't bring I can't say that. I can be on Shark Tank. I can be Mr. Wonderful and say you're dead to me because you have nothing of value. But I will only say that if you piss me off. So
well,
I'm not going to be the first.
I just said it's going back to what you said about doing talks and coming off stage, and you got to ask yourself that question: do you help? What can I do to help? And this is the angle that the life coaches are using exclusively, and then they succeed. I'm not knocking them down. I'm just saying that this is where they go. This is their niche. How can I help you? And if they succeed in making you feel better, whatever they do, whether it be oils or incense or mantras or whatever it is, if they make you feel better, then you part with your money gladly. And I think
I would say that. Go ahead.
I was just going to, I'll finish and then you can speak. And I think that it borders on a con game. And I know that's a lousy term to use.
Of course it is.
But it is.
No, that's exactly what it is.
It is. It's a nice kind of a polite con, because they massaged your back, you feel better, you give them a couple $100 or $1,000 or whatever it is, and everybody's seemingly happy. But then how long does that euphoria last? Maybe tomorrow you're miserable again.
Right.
Psychologists have been doing this for years.
No question. I would say also that the most successful life coaches are the most beautiful women. And I'm not sexist. I'm just telling you.
I would agree.
They're the ones that will definitely get the money. I
would agree. Yeah, you don't see fat, balding, middle-aged men being successful life coaches.
And if you do, they are really struggling to be a life coach.
And the kind that wears a tank top and the hair's coming out of the back of his, the back hair and stuff. Yeah, you never see that. You never see that at all. You're right. They're always gorgeous supermodel women. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I mean, seriously, it's not, and their clients are the balding middle-aged.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not, I respect the hustle of anyone, because anyone that will put themselves out there to get their own success, I'll never knock. I just, even if it's I love, so, oh my God, you can ask my girlfriend, what's Tyler's favorite TV series to watch, and she'll say, "Oh, American Greed, 110% American Greed." I watch that. I rewatch those episodes a lot. I love American Greed because what it does is it's entertainment to see where the pitfalls were. You know, how these guys scammed these innocent people out of money, and it's essentially what you're doing is you're educating yourself, so when you do find a scam artist, you're like, hey, you're pulling that stunt. I saw that on episode 6 on season 4.
Yeah. I think the old term for that was confidence trickster. That's what they used to call him back in the day. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of these mental health gurus are just a modern day version of that. You know, they've taken their cues from the old style confidence tricksters and incorporated in some sort of Eastern Zen philosophy and some bells and incense and candles, and off they go.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, I said, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. And that's really rang true for me for a lot of things in business. I've had people say, you know, if you give me money, I'll make you money in social media, conversions. And I'm, it's like, okay, you give them money, and then they go, oh yeah, well, I did the work. So, but I didn't get any sales. And then you find out that the metrics weren't right. I don't know. You gotta you're your own sucker. That's a good takeaway. You are your own sucker.
Yeah, and it actually I was just thinking about something that's kind of relevant to that. And then let's get off the self-help topic, because you brought up Facebook and I want to go there. But let me close by saying that if I have any advice to offer people, if you are looking for inner peace and tranquility, look within first, because you will never find it out there. It starts from within and works its way out. All right? That's the only way you'll ever find it. And nobody's going to help you with that. That's something you got to discover all on your own. It's your road to travel. It's your life to plan out. It's your journey. And you have to do that one alone. That's been my experience.
My father, brilliant as he is, he's got a lot of shortcomings. And one of his shortcomings is he only looks at the negative and never looks at the positive. And I think he was raised that way because his dad, my grandfather, was really just a piece of work.
Okay.
But, he always says, I don't have the money. Okay, well, we're working a deal right now that's going to get you the money. But I don't have it right now. I'm like, yeah, I understand you don't have it right now. But if you keep telling yourself you don't have it right now, guess what? You're not going to have it. You're not going to have it. I'm a realist, right? So if someone says, hey, Tyler, this is a great idea and it's going to make a lot of money. And I look at it and I go, yeah, but what about this, this, and this? And if they can't immediately give me a rebuttal to a problem that I come up with, chances are they're probably just trying to scam me out of my own cash. Which is fine. Good for them on the hustle, but I'm smarter than them on the hustle. So, I'm a Darwinist too. I think the strongest survive and the weakest fail.
Yeah, I would agree.
And what I would say as a good takeaway from your listeners is be obviously not blatantly oblivious of logic and your normal reality, but also don't live in negative energy. Be optimistic and be positive over negative and gloomy. And you'll see what really happens. I mean, if you've been very depressed, a lot of business owners are going to get very depressed under a lot of stress and everything. And they used to really, really attack me. And one day I was like, why don't I just focus on making money so that I don't have to worry about all of this stress and all the people I owe and all of this? Why am I focused on the people I owe versus why am I not making the dollars that I need to be making to pay these people so they can get off my back? And lo and behold, sales started just streaming in because I put my energy towards success.
I would agree with that. I think that the doom and gloom people tend to pull everything that they touch down, and the optimistic people tend to push everything they touch up. And
Right.
I've seen this over and over again. I mean, you ever been in a room with somebody who had such a toxic personality that after you got out of that room, you felt tired, like you had just ran about a mile and a half, and you were just exhausted? The energy, like they zapped the energy out of you, like they're this vortex.
That's my dad.
Okay.
That's my dad.
All right.
Yes. When you say, hey, have you ever been in that? Well, yeah, born and raised.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, but I'm glad you at least realize
It's okay. It's okay.
Because that's half the battle is to realize that situation. Yeah, I had a guy on the show yesterday. I'm not going to mention his name, but he was so toxic that I really, that after the interview, and this was a 15-minute interview, I had to go lie down because my head was throbbing, right?
Really?
Yeah, and then I talked to my producer, and I was like, do you remember that Star Trek one with the reptilian thing with the big sucker hands that would come up and stick the suckers on the face and leave these rings all over people's face, and they were sucking the life out of these people? I said, I just had that guy on the show yesterday. And it was amazing that somebody could affect me like that, because I'm usually not affected. I'm usually strong enough as an individual not to be. But this guy, man, he pulled me down like, like the biggest tornado you've ever seen. Just sucked me right in. It was unbelievable. I just said we are kind of running out of time, unfortunately. But I wanted to hit on one more thing because you mentioned Facebook, and then we can promote whatever you want, and then we got to wrap it up. Obviously, everyone is on social media these days. Anyone who isn't, who has any kind of a business, is losing out to a potential huge market share. However, I have found, and I wanted your take on this, I have found zero success in social media advertising. Facebook offers it.
Zero success in social media advertising.
And what I mean by that is Facebook, and I think Instagram offers it, promote this particular post. And you click, and you can pay as little as a couple of bucks, or you can pay thousands, whatever your budget is. And they will blast the post around to various places. Occasionally, when I'm on my homepage on Facebook, I'll see something pop up that says sponsored, and it'll be somebody who's selling something, whatever it is, right?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Now, I have done that with my show occasionally just to try it. And all I do is I pay like $10, $15. And that particular post will get more views. It'll get a lot of thumbs up and a bunch of happy faces and a bunch of hearts. And that's it. So my question...
Well, what's your call to action?
The call to action is to check out the website. I guess I've succeeded with that.
Yeah.
Now, if you were to do it, your call to action would be to buy the coffee, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Have you done any of those ads, and have you realized any direct sales from such types of ads on social media?
So not only do we do that, we exceed our budget month over month, and it has brought in more revenue than any other resource that you can invest into.
I said, I'm really glad to hear that. But to be fair, you've got a tangible product, and I don't. So it's
absolutely,
it's two different things.
To that statement, in most layman terms possible, you got to not really shotgun into the dark. You've got to sniper your target. So you got to know your demographic, you got to know your audience, you got to know your age group, you got to know your interests, you got to know. I mean, data is really the next currency out there. There's more value in data. The reason why Instagram was acquired in I don't know exactly the years/months that Facebook acquired Instagram, but let's just call it, for argumentative sake, a year and a half. It was very, 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 very short. Is Zuckerberg said in one of his interviews, he said, I gave the biggest evaluation to Instagram than I ever have in any other software because of their data. Data is your daddy. Pretty much dictates exactly what your outcome is going to be in your business. And that's why Zuckerberg bought Instagram for $1 billion without even questioning it, because he knew that he was going to miss out and he was going to get overtaken by Instagram. So if you are going to do social media boosting, is what it's called, you have to have really, really good content that has a value behind it and pulls the audience in. And B, you have to have a really good call to action. And C, you really got to know where you're fishing. You got to know your demographic. And you really got to know your demographic.
What's your demographic? Just curious.
Our demographic's about 30 to 70, mainly female, income value over 120,000 a year. Likes would be organic lifestyle, yoga,
self-help gurus.
Athletic, self-help gurus. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's great. We do have to wrap this up. Do you want to mention anything before we go? Congratulations again on Forbes. That's great. You want to give out your website or anything else?
Go to tylerscoffees.com. That's Tyler's with an S, coffees with an S.com. Or you can go to Amazon. You can go to Walmart.com. If you go to our website, you can look at our store locator. We're in over 500 stores across the country and growing. Honestly, it was funny. I was just on a podcast on Sunday, and this very sweet lady, she's awesome, and she goes, "So Tyler, give us like a tidbit. Give us something that tangible that you could tell us about sales." And I said, "Sure, I'll be more than happy to. It's going to fly in the face of everything that you've never heard of." She goes, "What?" I said, "Exactly." She goes, "Okay." I said, "It's really, really simple. You know you're a success when you don't sell your product anymore." She goes, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "Tyler's Coffee. I haven't sold a bag of coffee since I was, maybe 15, sorry, I take it back. Maybe when I was like 23 is when I stopped selling Tyler's Coffees." She goes, what? I'm confused. I said, "Exactly. Your customers will sell your product if you have a good product."
Yeah, that's very true.
Your customers will sell your product if you have a good product. The testimonials, we have over 5,000 testimonials on Amazon. We have over 100 testimonials on our website. We have Google reviews. We have that's what sells Tyler's Coffees. Tyler Ornstein does not sell Tyler's Coffee. The reviews of what and how we've created a product that people love sells the product.
Absolutely true. And then at some point, the coffee will just start selling itself, right?
No, that's what it does.
Yeah.
That's what it does.
Yeah. Tyler, we got to wrap this up. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and hopefully your viewers got a lot of insight.
Well, certainly interesting. I think there's a lot of information to unpack in this interview, so you may have to listen to it twice.